In computing, a printer is a peripheral which makes a persistent human-readable representation of graphics or text on paper or similar physical media. The world's first computer printer was a 19th-century mechanically driven apparatus invented by Charles Babbage for his difference engine. Types of printers. Personal printers are primarily designed to support individual users, and may be connected to only a single computer. These printers are designed for low-volume, short turnaround print jobs, requiring minimal setup time to produce a hard copy of a given document. However, they are generally slow devices ranging from 6 to around 25 pages per minute, and the cost per page is relatively high. However, this is offset by the on-demand convenience. Some printers can print documents stored on memory cards or from digital cameras and scanners. Networked or shared printers are designed for high-volume, high-speed printing. They are usually shared by many users on a network and can print at speeds of 45 to around 100 ppm. The Xerox 9700 could achieve 120 ppm. A virtual printer is a piece of computer software whose user interface and API resembles that of a printer driver, but which is not connected with a physical computer printer. A 3D printer is a device for making a three-dimensional object from a 3D model or other electronic data source through additive processes in which successive layers of material are laid down under computer control. It is called a printer by analogy with an inkjet printer, which produces a two-dimensional document by a similar process of depositing a layer of ink on paper. Technology. The choice of print technology has a great effect on the cost of the printer and cost of operation, speed, quality and permanence of documents, and noise. Some printer technologies don't work with certain types of physical media, such as carbon paper or transparencies. A second aspect of printer technology that is often forgotten is resistance to alteration. Liquid ink, such as from an inkjet head or fabric ribbon, becomes absorbed by the paper fibers, so documents printed with liquid ink are more difficult to alter than documents printed with toner or solid inks, which do not penetrate below the paper surface. Checks can be printed with liquid ink or on special check paper with toner anchorage so that alterations may be detected. The machine-readable lower portion of a check must be printed using MICR toner or ink. Banks and other clearing houses employ automation equipment that relies on the magnetic flux from these specially printed characters to function properly. Modern print technology. The following printing technologies are routinely found in modern printers. Toner-based printers. A laser printer rapidly produces high-quality text and graphics. As with digital photocopiers and multifunction printers, laser printers employ a xerographic printing process but differ from analog photocopiers in that the image is produced by the direct scanning of a laser beam across the printer's photoreceptor. Another toner-based printer is the LED printer, which uses an array of LEDs instead of a laser to cause toner adhesion to the print drum. Liquid inkjet printers. Inkjet printers operate by propelling variably sized droplets of liquid ink onto almost any sized page. They are the most common type of computer printer used by consumers. Solid ink printers. Solid ink printers, also known as phase change printers, are a type of thermal transfer printer. They use solid sticks of CMYK-colored ink, similar in consistency to candle wax, which are melted and fed into a piezo crystal-operated print head. The print head sprays the ink on a rotating, oil-coated drum. The paper then passes over the print drum, at which time the image is immediately transferred, or transfixed, to the page. Solid ink printers are most commonly used as color office printers, and are excellent at printing on transparencies and other non-porous media. Solid ink printers can produce excellent results. Acquisition and operating costs are similar to laser printers. Drawbacks of the technology include high energy consumption and long warm-up times from a cold state. Also, some users complain that the resulting prints are difficult to write on, as the wax tends to repel inks from pens, and are difficult to feed through automatic document feeders, but these traits have been significantly reduced in later models. In addition, this type of printer is only available from one manufacturer, Xerox, manufactured as part of their Xerox Phaser office printer line. Previously, solid ink printers were manufactured by Tektronix, but Tech sold the printing business to Xerox in 2001. Dye sublimation printers. A dye sublimation printer is a printer which employs a printing process that uses heat to transfer dye to a medium such as a plastic card, paper or canvas. The process is usually to lay one color at a time using a ribbon that has color panels. Dye subprinters are intended primarily for high-quality color applications, including color photography, and are less well suited for text. While once the province of high-end print shops, dye sublimation printers are now increasingly used as dedicated consumer photo printers. Inkless printers. Thermal printers work by selectively heating regions of special heat-sensitive paper. Monochrome thermal printers are used in cash registers, ATMs, gasoline dispensers and some older inexpensive fax machines. Colors can be achieved with special papers and different temperatures and heating rates for different colors. These colored sheets are not required in black and white output. One example is the ZINK technology. Obsolete and special-purpose printing technologies. The following technologies are either obsolete, or limited to special applications, though most were, at one time, in widespread use. Impact printers. Impact printers rely on a forcible impact to transfer ink to the media. The impact printer uses a print head that either hits the surface of the ink ribbon, pressing the ink ribbon against the paper, or hits the back of the paper, pressing the paper against the ink ribbon. All but the Dotmatrix printer rely on the use of fully formed characters, letter forms that represent each of the characters that the printer was capable of printing. In addition, most of these printers were limited to monochrome, or sometimes two-color, printing in a single typeface at one time, although bolding and underlining of text could be done by overstriking, that is, printing two or more impressions in the same character position. Impact printers varieties include typewriter-derived printers, teletypewriter-derived printers, daisy wheel printers, Dotmatrix printers and line printers. Dotmatrix printers remain in common use in businesses where multi-part forms are printed, such as car rental services. An overview of impact printing contains a detailed description of many of the technologies used. Typewriter-derived printers. Several different computer printers were simply computer-controllable versions of existing electric typewriters. The Friden Flexowriter and IBM Selectric-based printers were the most common examples. The Flexowriter printed with a conventional tip bar mechanism while the Selectric used IBM's well-known golf ball printing mechanism. In either case, the letter form then struck a ribbon which was pressed against the paper, printing one character at a time. The maximum speed of the Selectric printer was 15.5 characters per second. Teletypewriter-derived printers. The common teleprinter could easily be interfaced to the computer and became very popular except for those computers manufactured by IBM. Some models used a tip box that was positioned, in the X and Y axes, by a mechanism and the selected letter form was struck by a hammer. Others used a type cylinder in a similar way as the Selectric typewriters used their type ball. In either case, the letter form then struck a ribbon to print the letter form. Most teleprinters operated at 10 characters per second, although a few achieved 15 CPS. Daisy wheel printers. Daisy wheel printers operate in much the same fashion as a typewriter. A hammer strikes a wheel with petals, the daisy wheel, each petal containing a letter form at its tip. The letter form strikes a ribbon of ink, depositing the ink on the page and thus printing a character. By rotating the daisy wheel, different characters are selected for printing. These printers were also referred to as letter-quality printers because they could produce text which was as clear and crisp as a typewriter. The fastest letter-quality printers printed at 30 characters per second. Dotmatrix printers. The term Dotmatrix printer is used for impact printers that use a matrix of small pins to transfer ink to the page. The advantage of Dotmatrix over other impact printers is that they can produce graphical images in addition to text. However, the text is generally of poorer quality than impact printers that use letter forms. Dotmatrix printers can be broadly divided into two major classes: ballistic wire printers, stored energy printers. Dotmatrix printers can either be character-based or line-based, referring to the configuration of the print head. In the 1970s and 80s, Dotmatrix printers were one of the more common types of printers used for general use, such as for home and small office use. Such printers normally had either 9 or 24 pins on the print head. 24-pin print heads were able to print at a higher quality. Once the price of inkjet printers dropped to the point where they were competitive with Dotmatrix printers began to fall out of favor for general use. Some Dotmatrix printers, such as the NECP 6300, can be upgraded to print in color. This is achieved through the use of a 4-color ribbon mounted on a mechanism that raises and lowers the ribbons as needed. Color graphics are generally printed in 4 passes at standard resolution, thus slowing down printing considerably. As a result, color graphics can take up to 4 times longer to print than standard monochrome graphics, or up to 8 to 16 times as long at high-resolution mode. Dotmatrix printers are still commonly used in low-cost, low-quality applications like cash registers, or in demanding, very high-volume applications like invoice printing. The fact that they use an impact printing method allows them to be used to print multi-part documents using carbonless copy paper, like sales invoices and credit card receipts, whereas other printing methods are unusable with paper of this type. Dotmatrix printers are now rapidly being superseded even as receipt printers. Line printers. Line printers, as the name implies, print an entire line of text at a time. 4 principal designs existed. Drum printers, where a horizontally mounted rotating drum carries the entire character set of the printer repeated in each printable character position. The IBM 1132 printer is an example of a drum printer. Chain or train printers, where the character set is arranged multiple times around a link chain or a set of character slugs in a track traveling horizontally past the print line. The IBM 1403 is perhaps the most popular, and came in both chain and train varieties. The band printer is a later variant where the characters are embossed on a flexible steel band. The LP27 from Digital Equipment Corporation is a band printer. Bar printers, where the character set is attached to a solid bar that moves horizontally along the print line, such as the IBM 1443. A 4th design, used mainly on very early printers such as the IBM 402, featured independent type bars, one for each printable position. Each bar contained the character set to be printed. The bars move vertically to position the character to be printed in front of the print hammer. In each case, to print a line, precisely timed hammers strike against the back of the paper at the exact moment that the correct character to be printed is passing in front of the paper. The paper presses forward against a ribbon which then presses against the character form and the impression of the character form is printed onto the paper. Comb printers, also called line matrix printers, represent the 5th major design. These printers were a hybrid of Dotmatrix printing and line printing. In these printers, a comb of hammers printed a portion of a row of pixels at one time, such as every 8th pixel. By shifting the comb back and forth slightly, the entire pixel row could be printed, continuing the example, in just 8 cycles. The paper then advanced and the next pixel row was printed. Because far less motion was involved than in a conventional Dotmatrix printer, these printers were very fast compared to Dotmatrix printers and were competitive in speed with formed character line printers while also being able to print Dotmatrix graphics. The Printronix P7000 series of line matrix printers is still manufactured as of 2013. Line printers were the fastest of all impact printers and were used for bulk printing in large computer centers. A line printer could print at 1100 lines per minute or faster, frequently printing pages more rapidly than many current laser printers. On the other hand, the mechanical components of line printers operated with tight tolerances and required regular preventive maintenance to produce top-quality print. They were virtually never used with personal computers and have now been replaced by high-speed laser printers. The legacy of line printers lives on in many computer operating systems, which use the abbreviations LP, LPR, or LPT to refer to printers. Liquid ink electrostatic printers. Liquid ink electrostatic printers use a chemical-coated paper, which is charged by the print head according to the image of the document. the paper is passed near a pool of liquid ink with the opposite charge. The charged areas of the paper attract the ink and thus form the image. This process was developed from the process of electrostatic copying. Color reproduction is very accurate, and because there is no heating, the scale distortion is less than a plus or minus 0.1%. Worldwide, most survey offices use this printer before color inkjet plotters become popular. Liquid ink electrostatic printers were mostly available in 36 to 54 inches width and also 6-color printing. These were also used to print large billboards. It was first introduced by Versailles, which was later bought by Xerox. 3M also used to make these printers. Plotters. Pen-based plotters were an alternate printing technology once common in engineering and architectural firms. Pen-based plotters rely on contact with the paper and special-purpose pens that are mechanically run over the paper to create text and images. Since the pens output continuous lines, they were able to produce technical drawings of higher resolution than was achievable with Dotmatrix technology. Some plotters used roll-fed paper, and therefore had minimal restriction on the size of the output in one dimension. These plotters were capable of producing quite sizable drawings. Other printers, a number of other sorts of printers are important for historical reasons, or for special purpose uses: digital minilab, electrolytic printers, spark printer, barcode printer. Multiple technologies, including thermal printing, inkjet printing, and laser printing barcodes, billboard/sign paint spray printers, laser etching industrial printers, microsphere, attributes, printer controls. Most printers other than line printers accept control characters or unique character sequences to control various printer functions. These may range from shifting from lower to uppercase or from black to red ribbon on typewriter printers to switching fonts and changing character sizes and colors on raster printers. Early printer controls were not standardized, with each manufacturer's equipment having its own set. The IBM Personal Printer data stream became a commonly used command set for Dotmatrix printers. Most laser printers offered compatibility with Hewlett-Packard's printer command language. As printers incorporated more computing power, page description languages such as PostScript have become more widely used. Printing speed. The speed of early printers was measured in units of characters per minute for character printers, or lines per minute for line printers. Modern printers are measured in pages per minute. These measures are used primarily as a marketing tool, and are not as well standardized as toner yields. Usually pages per minute refers to sparse monochrome office documents, rather than dense pictures which usually print much more slowly, especially color images. ppm are most of the time referring to A4 paper in Europe and letter paper in the United States, resulting in a 5 to 10% difference. Sales. Since 2005, the world's top-selling brand of inkjet and laser printers has been HP, which now has 46% of sales in inkjet and 55.5% in laser printers. Printing mode. The data received by a printer may be a string of characters, a bitmapped image, a vector image, a computer program written in a page description language, such as PCL or PostScript. Some printers can process all three types of data, others not. Character printers, such as daisy wheel printers, can handle only plain text data or rather simple point plots. Pen plotters typically process vector images. Inkjet-based plotters can adequately reproduce all four. Modern printing technology, such as laser printers and inkjet printers, can adequately reproduce all four. This is especially true of printers equipped with support for PCL or PostScript, which includes the vast majority of printers produced today. Today it is possible to print everything by sending ready bitmapped images to the printer. This allows better control over formatting, especially among machines from different vendors. Many printer drivers do not use the text mode at all, even if the printer is capable of it. Monochrome, color and photo printers. A monochrome printer can only produce an image consisting of one color, usually black. A monochrome printer may also be able to produce various tones of that color, such as a grayscale. A color printer can produce images of multiple colors. A photoprinter is a color printer that can produce images that mimic the color range and resolution of prints made from photographic film. Many can be used on a standalone basis without a computer, using a memory card or USB connector. Business model: often the razor and blades business model is applied. That is, a company may sell a printer at cost, and make profits on the ink cartridge, paper, or some other replacement part. This has caused legal disputes regarding the right of companies other than the printer manufacturer to sell compatible ink cartridges. To protect their business model, several manufacturers invest heavily in developing new cartridge technology and patenting it. Other manufacturers, in reaction to the challenges from using this business model, choose to make more money on printers and less on the ink, promoting the latter through their advertising campaigns. Finally, this generates two clearly different proposals: cheap printer expensive ink, or expensive printer cheap ink. Ultimately, the consumer decision depends on their reference interest rate or their time preference. From an economics viewpoint, there is a clear trade-off between cost per copy and cost of a printer. Printer steganography. Printer steganography is a type of steganography hiding data within data produced by color printers, including Brother, Canon, Dell, Epson, HP, IBM, Konica Minolta, Kyocera, Lanier, Lexmark, Ricoh, Toshiba and Xerox brand color laser printers, where tiny yellow dots are added to each page. The dots are barely visible and contain encoded printer serial numbers, as well as date and time stamps. See also: 3D printing, cardboard modeling, list of printer companies, print, printer driver, print screen, print server, printable version, label printer, printer friendly, printer point, printer, printmaking, printer consumables, printer supplies, references. External links: media related to printers at Wikimedia Commons.